guys, welcome back to our van build. I'm Kelly.
I'm Rich.
And we are Wonderbus Adventures. Last week, if you watched, you would have seen that we had some plywood delivered for our Mercedes Vario. And this week, you're going to see us fit it.
Today's task is to get all of it put in the van. So I need to cut it down to size and then put them in there. Measure 400 times, cut once, still get it wrong. Let's hope not.
My ears are not covered up.
Covered up?
Yeah. What was that?
It's a clamp, it's called an F clamp.
What is that?
It clamps that rail to the wood so it doesn't fall off.
Your number one fans in the tree watching. It's all puffed up.
So nosy.
I know. It's probably going to go away in a minute when it starts. He wasn't scared, he stayed and watched the whole thing.
The back edges of the floor are angled here, so what I've done is made a template out of card, and then I've transferred that onto the corners of the board, and I'm just going to chop them down now with my jigsaw with a new blade in it. What are you doing? What are you doing?
Oh, you're filming me. I am trying to do the tape along the bottom and it was causing a bit of trouble to get it tight. So we had this from where we tinted one of the windows.
For another clue because they just way.
Lady's been looking for clues. So I've been using it to poke it as I put it along so that I get a tight seal.
Brilliant. And we're also trying to lay the floor at the same time. Trimming up this floor and thought, do you know what, this medium mat here is a bit big, so I'll trim that up at the same time. Looks good, don't you think? Well, I'm just going to brush this all off and hopefully this will fit around our wheel arches. Let's see. The squeaking's back. But it's okay, it's just some insulation rubbing against the outside of the bus. It's not inside. But nearly caught me out again. Got a couple of pieces in. I'm just going to cut this one to size and get that in, and then I can move all this out of the way to get the front piece in. So hopefully we'll have it all cut to size today. So tomorrow I can cut out the hatch at the back and cut out all of these indents for the seats and get those back in, hopefully. I try this out every day by sort of laying out the tools and things that we need, and this is my makeshift workbench. I'm going to make a outdoor workbench out of these pallets and stuff just for this space whilst we're going to work on the bus. But this is my workbench for today, and yeah, we start off with all good intentions. We've got our clamps, our pencils, our measuring stuff, everything out, and then you know how it goes throughout the day, you kind of lose it all, but this is how we like to try and start anyway. All good intentions. This is the front part of the bus where our passenger seats are going to go, so we'll knock those out later, but first thing I need to do is cut the plywood to width and then cut out the notch for the steps, so you can see me doing that here. This little door frame here, obviously was wired by bus company, has meant we had to cut the bottom floor out to notch it round, and then the battens that are on top of this floor are now the top floor. So good work, little door frame, good work. Right, so that piece is in there now. I'm pretty happy with it on the front face here. I've left this proud on here so I can run the router along once the floor is in its final screwed in position, so just so it's flush with the front of the step. So yeah, next job is to cut this piece in here and then see how it all kind of lays before we then start cutting out for the seat bases. Welcome to another edition of my mobile workbench. So I need to cut through this piece of wood here. This is a scrap piece that came out of the bus. I'm going to try and make a template out of. But cutting it would have been problematic because of the shape. But because of the pallet that we've got here, it leaves a void underneath. Sometimes pallet's genius, no bounds. So I've got that scrap piece in there now. It actually fits real nicely. So I'm going to use this as a template to make up the proper piece. Because you can see. To install 4 tourneo seats in our Mercedes Vario, we had to route out some trenches for the seat bases, and that's what I'm doing here. So that's them all cut down to size and routed out. I'm giving up for the day now, but tomorrow what I'm going to have to do is seat all of the rails in there, and then they need to be recessed into the wood by a few mil, so they sit flush on the floor. So yeah, front section, day 1 progress. Not bad. Not bad. The brackets for our seats have these reinforced plates on the back to hold the bars on the top where the seats plug into. When these go into the floor, obviously they will make the brackets sit proud on the floor. So what I'm going to do is just route out a recess for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of these flanges on each of the brackets, so they sit flush to the floor. Okay, so I've got them all sit flush now. So I'm just gonna pop the piece of wood back in the bus. Okay, brackets are in. All look good. I'm just gonna take this out, use it as a template to cut a good piece of wood. I said it before and I'll say it again, like a glove. That's in there now. I'm just going to give it a hoover up underneath this piece of wood, and I'm going to screw it down. That should bring these 2 pieces in line. Happy days. Seats are back in, flush with the floor. This front piece is in. I'm really pleased with how these 2 meet, because this point of the bus, as I've shown when I had to cut this batten, is lower than the rest of the floor. So what I've done is basically tapered it off to a gradient, and that's worked out well. So I haven't been left with too much of a step there. You know, I can get a fingernail on it, but by the time the floor's on it, that should be fine. This is all screwed in now. This second piece here is screwed in. The rest isn't at the moment, so we've got our heater to go in here, which we'll show you in a future video. And I need to cut the hatch in the back. Again, I'm going to show you that in a second. Before we carry on with that floor installation, we just want to do our own little advert, and it's for our channel. So if you like what you see today, or any of our other videos, please do consider subscribing.
It's free.
Yeah, and it's just the easiest way that you can support us in growing the channel. We love putting the videos out. We love all your comments. So thank you for watching, and let's carry on with laying that floor.
Thank you.
Okay, so it's the next weekend, it's Saturday. You can see where we've had these laid down in the middle. I don't know if you can see that, but you can see where the sun's bleached the floor already. But you know, it doesn't matter, we're going to be covering this over anyway. What I need to do today is I'm going to take this middle panel out here, and this one here, just clean up underneath the floor, and then I'm going to be screwing both of those panels down into place. And then I'll be taking this back panel out here underneath this protector to cut the hatch out. So that's what I'm going to be doing now.
Hello.
Hi.
You on your scooter?
Yeah. You like to see some cool tricks out of the window?
Yeah. So I'm now starting to do the tape on the side pieces. Rich ripped it all out because we thought it was making a squeaking noise. I did, Lily, it was brilliant.
Mummy.
Rich thought it was making a squeaking noise, but it was actually the wood up against the panel, so I got to retape it all.
Today's a really bitty day. You can see that I've got the floor out behind me, so I've been cutting the floor. We have been insulating the walls, we have been installing the heater and this, that and the other. In our videos we try and cut them together so you can see how to kind of do each step. But we're coming to like some really bitty parts of the build now where we might start to overlap that. So sorry if we're kind of starting a job one week and finishing it the next, but that's just the reality of how it is. We need to do one thing before we can do the other. Another day laying the floor. If you remember from previous videos, around about here we have, so underneath this piece of wood we have a boat hatch to be able to access our water tank, which is underneath the bus. So what I'm going to need to do now is take this out to be able to measure up for where I need to cut that out. What I'm going to do is cut it oversized, so just cut out a rectangle over the battens that are surrounding the hatch. So when we first bought the bus, if you've seen our previous videos, you'll know that we had a double skinned floor underneath here. So we had a beam that ran sort of horizontally and a beam that ran like well, not vertically but lengthways from front to back on the bus, and that was about 17 centimeters tall, believe it or not, I think. Have a look on the photo that I'm just flashing up, and now it is 64 mil, and that is with 25 mil of insulation in the floor, an 18 mil top floor and a 12.5 mil bottom floor. So yeah, still substantial, but we've gained a lot of head height there, which for me is not essential, but it means we can do more stuff in the bus. So yeah, happy days with that. Just quickly put some masking tape on the back and the front of here, and then marked it with my ruler with a straight line. When I'm taking this floor in and out now, when I'm doing the cutting, I want to make sure I'm putting it back in the same place. What we do is just mark it through on the wood, but as we've already foil taped there, I don't want to do that because I'll get in trouble with Kelly. With the floor on the bench, I measured it several times and in the bus. So against my better judgment, I was going to use my jigsaw, but I'm going to use my plunge saw. I know that this gives like absolutely dead straight cuts. It's just going to be about getting it right in the corners. Try it with this to see how it goes. So I think what I'm going to do is I'll cut it right up to the edge where I can, and then I will finish it off with my jigsaw. Hatch is cut. I've just sanded around the edges. Pretty pleased with that. So what I did in the end is cut all the way up to the sort of very edge with the plunge saw, and then finished it off with a rough wood bit here, and you can see that that's worked out okay as long as it's in the right place. So this sits on top of these battens that I've got around the hatch. I'm going to screw this floor into these now as well. Just at a few strategic points, and then screw this floor down, and then this fits over this hatch here, like this. I am first of all drilling a pilot hole which matches the thinnest part of the shaft without the screw on this. I am going to countersink those holes, and then I'm using these modern single thread screws, like all-purpose wood screws, to screw through to the floor. I could do it without, but what I found actually through experience with the front floor, that because this is quite dense plywood, they're not countersinking the whole way on their own, so I've decided to use this little countersink tool. So it adds a few extra minutes to the job, but that's what I'm deciding to do. What are you up to, Lonely? You alright, dude? Just keeping abreast on the wheelings and dealings. Cool. We'll do some... Oh, it's alright, Kelly. Cal, look at Lonely. Come out carefully, you scared him. Our boat hatch does create an airtight seal from the outside of the van. With the sort of internal gasket, so they are watertight for obvious reasons. You know, you wouldn't want a hatch on a boat that wasn't. So from that aspect, we're not too worried about it causing a draft or anything. But what I'm going to do is, there's about an 8mm space in here, and like a void as it were. And what I'm going to do is use some of this closed cell foam with the sticky side up, and then I'm going to stick my lid down on top of it. Okay, I've cut a couple of sheets, see if this works. That's good. What do you reckon? Oh my god, it worked. Stuck in there now. The lid should fit in there nicely. Here it is installed. So yeah, we're going to get a nice handle or something to go recessed into the floor, and then see what solution we can come up with for keeping it secure. Screwed in all of in around here now. So the floor is completely down, ready to be covered in outro later on. So we've got some samples of that, which I'll show you in a minute, and what we're going to go for, and then I had some really useful tips obviously in one of our previous videos from you guys on what we should do, whether we should cover the whole floor or cut it around the furniture. So we'll make our decision on that too. That's how we've installed our floor. Hopefully you know, some useful tips there, but if you've got any questions or pointers of anything that we might have missed, do point them out down in the comments down below.
And next week we're going to be fitting our water heater, so we're going to be cutting a big hole and putting it in.
Very scary, so hopefully you join us for that. Have a great week.
1, 2, 3,
bye!
Lady doesn't like the loud saw, do you? Why don't you like it?
Because it's very loud and I don't like it.
It's stinky as well, isn't it?
It's stinky and mad.
Well,
It'll do just the fact.
looks good.
I've got the scraps.
Yeah. Here's Christopher just laying down.
This is Christopher.